Hi guys, my name's Adrian, and in today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about using things like SASS and SCSS and less when you're creating websites. When I started out making websites, I used to use a lot of CSS. As I develop more and more websites these days, the CSS that I'm using gets more complex, and every time I need to do more lines of code. I've gotten to the point where a regular website now sometimes takes me up to 5,000 lines of just CSS code. And that's ridiculous. That is weeks of effort of using CSS every single day. And it got to the point where I felt like the syntax I was using was just repetitive at some nature, because if you do a lot of CSS, you know that when you're describing certain elements, you need to fill in the full syntax. So that means you need to define your divs, your parent elements, and all the other stuff like ID tags in order to make sure that the CSS properties that you're applying are applied properly. Now, there are tools out there. There are things like SCSS and SASS and less, and these things are great because what they do is they give you the ability to do your regular CSS, but you get great functionality where you don't have to write as much syntax. So what does this mean? How can I save myself time and effort by using things like SASS? Well, essentially SASS is just CSS, and this is why I definitely recommend anyone who already understands CSS to try it out. With SASS, what you end up doing is being able to do your regular CSS, but with extra features and functionality. And one of my favorites, and I cannot understate how good this is being able to nest your classes. Now, this simply means that when you're writing CSS, normally you have to fill out all the parent divs and classes and IDs that you need to in order to apply different properties. But what nesting does, it means that you can start putting these classes inside other classes. And when SASS, for example, has a look at them, it compiles them and fills them out properly for you, so you don't have to worry about that. It means that each time you're writing out a class feature, you can nest it inside another one and the properties will apply. You don't need to create a brand new line for each one where you're defining it. And this alone has saved me thousands of lines of code. It's reduced the amount of lines of code I've had to do from 5,000 to about 2,000, just simply doing that. Then of course there's things like variables, and while CSS now does better extensions for variables, things like SASS and less and stuff allow you to have greater versatility with your variables. You're able to do things like lighten different RGB values, you're able to apply different shades, you're able to pass in pixel values for responsive design, and even make light and dark designs much easier. And these things too help a lot. So those things alone have saved me heaps and heaps of time. So I would definitely recommend checking out SASS if you haven't already. You do need to add different things for the ability to use SASS. So you will need something like Gulp or a compiler such as Webpack, and a lot of these times you can actually get them pre-compiled. Some even visual coders will automatically generate them for you with good plugins. So for example, I use Brackets, and Brackets has an inbuilt extension which automatically converts my SASS into CSS. And again, when I'm building out simple websites with plain HTML, JavaScript, CSS, then just being able to do this saves me time. Now, I'll link some of these in the description below, as well as SASS and some of those benefits. But if you haven't checked out SASS before, if you haven't checked out less, check them out, because they're going to save you lots of time, and you don't have to relearn anything. You can still apply the exact same principles that you are for CSS. Anyway, my name is Adrian, and I do videos around design and development. So if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.